Darkness of night was at its peak. Dark clouds gathered in the sky as if a formidable army was preparing for battle. There was a strange rustling sound in the air. Leaves were swaying, and the distant cries of birds only added to the terror of the desolate forest. This forest was such that even sunlight barely penetrated during the day. The trunks of the trees were thick and tall, intertwined with each other, as if hiding some ancient secret. Amidst those dense trees stood a dilapidated hut. The hut didn't seem like a normal person's home, but rather like the last refuge of a lost soul. In that hut lived a young boy named Raju, alone, silent, and accustomed to the jungle. For years that hut had become his home, his world, his world. The weariness of time was written on Raju's face, but a strange glint still lingered in his eyes, as if he were part of an untold story. Every corner of the forest, every tree, was his identity. He knew the sounds of the forest. The wind's direction when a tree branch was about to break, when an animal was stealthily passing by. He knew all this, but that night, something was different. The roar of the clouds, the force of the rain, and the howl of the wind. Everything seemed to echo simultaneously. Raju sat inside his hut, the door tightly closed. He held a burning lamp in his hand. He silently listened to the noise outside. The rain was so heavy that water dripped from the roof. When the wind hit the walls, the hut shook. When lightning flashed, the hut would light up for a moment, then darkness would immediately descend. In that darkness, Raju's heart began to pound with an unknown fear. Someone knocked on the door. For a moment, the lamp slipped from his hand. He looked towards the door, startled. Who could be in this forest on such a night in such a storm? He listened. Perhaps it was the wind playing tricks. But the knock came again, this time a little louder. Raju mustered his courage. He slowly approached the door. His heart was beating faster than the storm. He placed his hand on the doorknob. He hesitated for a moment. Then he flung the door open. The sight before him momentarily made him forget his feet. A young girl stood outside the door. Her rain-soaked clothes clung to her body. Drops of water were dripping from her hair. Fear etched its lines on her face. Her eyes were helpless, and her breathing was rapid. A flash of lightning illuminated her face for a moment. She was beautiful, but that beauty was shrouded in fear. Raju's lips involuntarily uttered, "Who are you? What are you doing here, in this forest at this time of night?" The girl's lips trembled, her voice trembling. "Brother, my name is Radhika. I live in nearby Kamarajnagar." Her clothes were soaked. Her arms were trembling with cold. "Some people are after me," she said, hiccuping. "They want to kill me. They want to dishonor me. I ran away to save my life. I need shelter. Please save me." Raju's heart was filled with sympathy. He quickly closed the door and gestured for the girl to come in. The hut was dimly lit. The storm still raged outside. He spread an old mat and lit a lamp to dim the darkness. Now in the light, the girl became more visible. There was a glint of fear in her eyes, but with it I also sensed a pain, a hidden secret. Raju asked quietly, "Do you know what forest you've come to?" "This place is not for ordinary people." Radhika's eyes lowered. "I know, brother," Radhika said, "but I had no other choice." Then she said softly, "I am the daughter of King Vikram Singh. My parents are no longer alive." After their departure, people's eyes fell on my beauty. Some came pretending to protect me, some pretending to love me, but all had the same motive, to possess my body. I kept running, hiding, but today they had come very close to me. I just kept running, and perhaps fate brought me here. The hut now only had the soft light of a lamp, the sound of rain outside, and an unfamiliar silence between them. Raju wondered in his heart, was this girl telling the truth? Was she hiding a secret like this forest? But at that moment there was only one thought in his heart: she is scared, she is scared. She needs shelter, and with that thought he sat close to her. The flame of the lamp flickered, and the storm roared with all its intensity, as if this night was about to witness something extraordinary. Raju sat quietly, listening to Radhika. Inside the hut, the pale light of a lamp cast a faint shimmer on the walls. Outside, raindrops pounded on the roof as if someone were playing a flute with 1,000 fingers. Yet, inside the hut, a strange sense of peace and fear lingered simultaneously. That silence that sometimes makes more noise than a storm. Radhika had spoken, but there was something in her eyes that words hadn't expressed. A question lingered in Raju's heart. Was it all a coincidence? Had this girl suddenly arrived in this desolate place, or was there a secret behind her arrival? He tried to reason with himself, but every moment forced him to think of something new. Outside, the storm was intensifying. Lightning would rip through the sky, and then the darkness would deepen. There were only 2 people inside the hut. A lonely young boy and a young girl named Jay Kilo, whose face was being touched by each of their faces. As if she were silently testifying that this night was no ordinary night. After a few moments of silence, Radhika's low voice echoed, "Brother, I'm very scared. Can I stay here tonight?" She raised her eyes. There was a strange innocence in them mixed with fear. "I'll leave as soon as morning comes. Just let me get through this night," she said. Raju stared at her for a while. He felt as if he were reading a hidden story in those eyes, a pain that had been suppressed for years. He said softly, "Yes, you stay here. This hut is yours too." Hearing this, Radhika breathed a sigh of relief. She lay down on the mat, her head lowered. Water still dripped from her hair. She kept glancing towards the door, as if some fear still haunted her. Raju took a deep breath. He tried to compose himself, but the more he tried to console himself, the more something stirred within him. The girl who had just escaped death was now close to him. There was a strange warmth in her presence that unsettled both heart and soul. The hut was dimly lit. There was thunder outside and a pounding heart inside. Raju closed his eyes, hoping he could fall asleep, but sleep eluded him. The raindrops, the smell of Radhika's wet clothes, and the light falling on her face all stirred within Raju. He kept telling himself, "She's in trouble. You have to protect her. Don't take advantage of her weakness." But the battle between heart and mind continued. Suddenly, the sound of sobs echoed. Raju opened his eyes and raised his head. The sound was coming from the mat. He slowly got up, muffling his footsteps. He saw Radhika crying, covering her face with her hands. Raju's heart melted. He said softly, "Hey Radhika, what's wrong? Why are you crying? You're safe now. There's nothing to be afraid of." Radhika tried to wipe away her tears, but her voice choked. "Something has happened to me that I can't tell anyone," she said. Raju's eyes were filled with wonder. "Is there such pain that cannot be expressed? I won't harm you." Radhika's gaze fell to the ground. Her lips trembled, and her voice became very low. "I am not a good girl, brother. I have strayed. I am very thirsty." Her breathing quickened. Look, I trembled as if a gust of wind had come. And at that very moment, she said something. Something that drained all the blood from Raju's body. His face drained of color, and the atmosphere in the hut froze. Radhika's voice held a coldness that penetrated deep within. She said with deadly calm, "I'm not an ordinary girl. I'm a lost soul." These words pierced Raju's heart. His body trembled. He felt the ground slip from beneath his feet. A panic spread in the rustling of the wind and the solitary sob. It was as if all the corners of the hut had woken up after hearing this secret. "Uru," Raju said in a trembling voice. "What are you saying? How can I believe all this?" There was surprise in his voice, but there was also a fear that he was trying to hide. Radhika lowered her gaze. Her hands were trembling, and her fingers started drawing their reflection on the ground, as if she was touching an old wound. Slowly she began to speak. "A long time ago, my name was Rani Radha. There was a man, Arjun. He wanted to marry me, but I did not love him." Raju was completely silent now. Only his breathing was going on. Radhika closed her eyes and took a deep breath and said, "Arjun used black magic to get me. He weaved such a web around me that I fell under his control. He wanted to make me his, but I could never be his." His voice was beginning to break. "When he tried to disgrace me that first night, I stopped his hand. He went mad with rage. There was a monstrosity in his eyes that I had never seen before. And one night, he killed me. Raju's breathing stopped. The flame of the lamp before his eyes began to flicker and dim. Radhika said, as she was dying, she said, your soul will not be free until you find someone. Since then I have been wandering in this forest. For years, the echo of her words echoed